All right, the votes are in, and controversial Maine Senate candidate Graham Platner winning the Democratic nomination as voters ignore his scandal-plagued past. Platner addressing the crowd in his victory speech last night. Watch this.
And to any of those who feel let down or disappointed or disillusioned, it is my job to earn your trust, faith, and support. And I will spend every day of this campaign, and if I have the privilege, every day in the United States Senate doing exactly that. It is deeply humbling to stand here as your Democratic nominee. It is an honor, and I will not let you down.
Former Communications Director for Speaker Kevin McCarthy, Mark Bednar, joins me now. Mark, good morning. Great to see you. Welcome aboard. Maine has officially elevated this guy, Graham Platner, to become a U.S. Senate nominee. So how does he stack up against Susan Collins?
Good morning, Carly. Well, it's really interesting because Graham Platner got 72% of the vote. He wasn't accepted outright, so 20% of the vote still went to Janet Mills. She wasn't even campaigning, so that's like a T-ball team giving up 20% of the game's runs to the T. So we're going to have to see how many of these votes for Janet Mills, someone who is not even anywhere near visibility, were these protest votes? Are these same individual Maine Democrats going to come out in the general election? We're going to have to see. But what's super interesting, and your viewers should remember, in 2020, Sarah Gideon, then a superstar of the left, received the same amount of votes, 72%. And she went on to get trounced by Susan Collins by 8 points. So if history is an indicator here, this race is not over, and Republicans have a really good chance to hold this seat and hold the Senate.
Yeah, that's right. 72 to 19.5. Let's call it 20% of people voted for Janet Mills, who had already dropped out despite her name still being on the ballot. You could call that a protest vote. And the question does become, who does that 20% vote for? Will it be Susan Collins or will it be Graham Platner? And does that 20% make the difference?
Right. Or do they not show up at all because there's just more drip, drip, drip about the accountability and basically the trustworthiness of Graham Platner? So as we've seen thus far, Democrats have stood with him. They want to see more. They have more questions. It's up to the voters of Maine. Nationally, that's what they've said. But also what we're seeing, too, across the nation is that House Democrats view what a liability that Graham Platner is on their ticket. So you see actually more visceral antagonism towards Graham Platner's candidacy from the House. And these are from safe House seats. And so if we're going to get more news, more accusations, more drip, drip, drip about Graham Platner, not even just his Nazi tattoo, but just about him as a person, him with his candidacy, with his ability to tell the truth, we're actually going to hear more from the House. And so that's going to have huge ramifications as Maine voters actually coalesce around Susan Collins and then coalesce around the general election. So this has a lot to be developed yet, but it'll be very interesting going forward.
Yeah, and there was a notable line from his speech last night. He said, any of those who feel let down or disappointed or disillusioned, it is my job to earn your trust, faith, and support. So it sounds like he knows that he has a lot of work to do. And then there are Democrats who are worried that something else will come out about him closer to the November election. And it could be something that could really change Democrats' minds about their chosen candidate. So we're going to have to wait and see on that front. Also want to ask you about California, because it is official there. Steve Hilton has secured the #2 spot, will face off against Javier Becerra in the governor's race in November. Take a listen to Steve Hilton talking about the current state of affairs in California.
Nothing works in California because you've got people who don't know how to make things work. It's the same system that can't count votes, that can't build a train after 10 years and billions of dollars, that can't clear the homeless after 24 billions of dollars spent, that can't get anything right.
So can Steve Hilton win in November?
Well, he's got the personality. He's got the simplicity of a message that actually resonates with the direct problems that Californians are facing, the direct problems that Gavin Newsom has caused. It's going to be an uphill battle because it is a solid blue state. But more than anything, Steve Hilton's candidacy, what it really shows is that Gavin Newsom really does not have a leg to stand on should he decide to run for president in 2028. Between crime, people leaving the state because it's too expensive, the homelessness, the drugs, This is really an indictment about one-party Democratic control in California. So Steve Hilton has an uphill battle, but he's doing all the right things. He's doing all the right things to get his name out there, get his message out there.
With 146 days to go until the midterm election. Mark Bednar, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your insight as always.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.